Alright, guys, I'm back at it again with another life update. So, first topic, let's talk about driving. The universe does not want me to drive, essentially. So, I had my permit back in March, and I had to wait 6 months before I could get a license. So, I got my license. I was supposed to get my license on September 29th, right? So, I go to the DMV on the September 29th, and it was at 4 p.m. And I go there, and they were like, yo, we don't offer road tests after 4 p.m. because of safety reasons, or something like that. So, come back another day. So, I do that. The next time I come, they're like, "Yo," I come back a week or two later. They're like, "Yo, where is your car registration?" And any self-respecting person would have their car registration in their car because that's what you're supposed to do. Like, if you get pulled over, the cops ask you, "Where's your license and registration?" You're supposed to have it, otherwise your car gets impounded. My dad just doesn't. He just didn't have the car registration, so I was like, I can't come. Like, we didn't have the registration, so I couldn't do the test. So he had to come back another like a few weeks later, and then I was like, I had all my documents right. I was like, okay, permit check, license, a permit check, insurance check, car registration check, driving log check. Actually, regarding the driving log, I didn't have that. I don't know how that fixed. I wasn't allowed to drive after 9 p.m., so I couldn't get my 9 hours. So like the driving lady there, she was like super gracious. She just let us like forge a few hours, and it was like all good. And it was ready for the test, right? So the guy, I take him to the car. He's like, okay, it's parked over here. He's like, all right, get in, but don't touch anything. So I get in. He's like, okay, now roll down the windows. So I roll down the windows, and then he gets in. He's like, all right, reverse now. We're gonna go that way. And I reverse a single inch, and he fails me because I didn't have a seatbelt. He was like, yo, where's your seatbelt? And in my defense, actually, I don't have a defense. Like, that was just a really dumb thing to do, not putting the seatbelt. So as a result, I failed my driving test, and now the next appointments are in January, which is a long, long time. So if I don't get my license in LJ, I will be very sad. I will be very sad. Hopefully I get to walk in somewhere, but a lot of the DMVs they're like, yeah, we're not allowing walk-ins because of staff shortages and so on. So I'm in a really dire situation here. Um, yeah, so there's not a single day that goes by where I don't get ridiculed by people for not having my seatbelt on, whether it be my friends, my family, yeah, things like that, right? So it's it's a bit embarrassing. Besides from that, I recently finished all my early application, college application stuff, so it's very good. And I only have 3 universities left for regular decision. I'm gonna finish them all before December or before like at the end of November because I will be going to India over December, and I do not want to be writing essays while I'm partying in India. So I will be finishing all of those three universities isn't bad in the span of a month. Very easy. I already have like a bunch of the essays done. So yeah, and then one more thing to talk about is this thing over here, my thumb. So as you may be wondering, what the heck happened to your thumb? Well, I cut it. Long story short, I was trying to open my razor, so I have like a safety razor, so I was twisting it open like this to open it, and my hands were wet because it was just at that I just stepped out of a shower. Twist it, and I'm like, oh, it's not opening. So then I twist it with all my might, and my finger slips. This thing goes under the blade. A huge chunk of the skin gets like yeeted off of my like it's barely hanging on by a thread, and my parents and like blood's gushing down. My parents like, what the heck? And then we drive to the hospital as fast as physically possible, or actually, following all the traffic laws and stuff. But we drive to the emergency room because they panic like that, and the doctor he stitches me up. Also, like speaking of stitches, like the stitches didn't hurt, but the anesthesia for the stitches did hurt because they had like poke a needle in twice, and then like hit one nerve, and then like move the needle inside of my skin, and then hit another nerve twice. So that was pretty dang painful. But other than that, it was all good. And I'm getting my stitches out tomorrow. But it looks really nasty because all the blood dried on top of it, and I can't really clean it because it's kind of sensitive to pressure. I don't want to like hurt myself or like break the stitches or whatever. So yeah, and I haven't been working out as a result of that. I haven't been like lifting as a result of it. It's mostly just cardio. So probably lost a bunch of muscle mass by now. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, so now what I've been doing is now that I'm a free man, I essentially have a lot of free time on my hands. I've been playing a lot of GTA, GTA 5, and I've been enjoying the story. It's a very funny game. If you watch the cutscenes, it's pretty funny. It's very random, totally out there. I love it. Very great game. Although I will say that I don't like the aspect of like driving from location to location. It's just very tedious, I guess. And then one more thing is I really enjoy just like shooting random civilians, right? But the biggest issue with that is that cops come on you, so then you can't continue the story. So you have to like ditch the cops. So it kind of defeats the fun of just like shooting civilians indiscriminately. which sounds wrong out of context, but I promise I'm not weird. So yeah. And then regarding my social life, I actually have a few developments. So me and my friend had a bet as to who would get our lessons first. So my friend ended up getting his lessons first. So as a result, I had to. He picked me up, and then we drove to Taco Bell, and I had to buy him stuff. And that was the first time I've had Taco Bell in a long time, probably years. And I didn't really like the Taco Bell. It was honestly pretty mid. I had the Crunchwrap Supreme and the Nacho Fries, and the Nacho Fries were honestly disgusting. They made me want to throw up. And then the Crunchwrap Supreme was just mid at its best. But speaking of which, I have not speaking of which, but on a side tangent, I have a very interesting CS projects that I would like to work on. So the first one is directly related to my driving fiascos, where I want to make something that scrapes the DMV's website, probably using like Selenium. If I can figure out how to host that 24/7, I want to make something that scrapes the DMV's website, and yeah, and like it notifies me when there's an opening, when there's an appointment opening, which will be very convenient. And the second project is actually I'm currently working on making my own programming language, or not making my own programming language, more like reading through this one book, Crafting Interpreters, and learning the semantics behind making a programming language, whether it be the interpreter itself, the compiler, etc. Just learning about that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I guess that's it for this specific life update. Who knows when I'll make the next one. So yeah, see you guys.